Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create this particular beautiful report you have on your screen from the scratch. So it's about transportation company, and I'm going to show you how to actually make justification to this and apply the same thing you have learned from here on your own personal dashboard. So we have different types of background for this. I'm going to show you how to create everything from the scratch. But before then, let us take a look at the dataset we're going to use for this. All right, over here, you can actually read through this particular text to understand this dataset we are going to be using for our report. Then, once you have done that, it's very important for you to take a look at the tags or the things we're going to cover in this particular report. So go ahead and pause it and take a look at it, and let's proceed. So to create a beautiful report or dashboard in Power BI, so you have to use external tool to create your background, which we are going to do right on this particular tutorial. So we have different variation of the background we're going to be using for our report. So those are the couple of ones we have right here. You can actually go ahead and take a look at that and see how you can actually create it all by yourself. By following me step by step, you are going to actually have this created without any stress at all. So if you love my YouTube channel, you know what to do. You just have to actually go ahead and actually hit the subscribe button and follow me step by step to create this. And we have other videos on this channel. Just go ahead and check it out and see which one will definitely help your career. Let's get started. All right, let's get started from here. The very first thing we're going to get into right now is to look at how we have actually created this particular part of our report. So we are able to switch from bottom to top bosses and all of that. To get this created is very, very simple. And if you don't know how to do it, I'm going to show you right now. So let's get it. So over here, we have a blank slate, nothing on it. So I'm going to actually get here a table to actually get started with. So inside this particular table, what I want to have right here is the name of the bosses. So we call it boss number right here. So now those are the bosses we have operating in our company. So I have this particular measure. This measure is called total rider, which is passengers that we have actually convey over time. So now it's just a simple summation of the column. So if I show you over here the column, so click on this fact table here. Sorry, yeah, sure. Okay, sure. This is what it is here. This particular column, numbers of riders. It means passengers. You get it now. Okay, going back to this particular part now, I'm going to bring up that particular measure for the time being. So we have the measure right here. So why are we having this? It's just for me to illustrate to you what we're about to create and how it works. So inside this particular measure table, you can right click and create a new measure. So I told you, it doesn't really matter if you don't want to watch the first one. So this one is a holistic part of the report itself that you can actually learn from. So right now, I'm going to actually say dynamic ranking. Dynamic top N. So for my dynamic top N, what I will do is to actually start ranking this. To create a ranking, I'm going to actually create a variable here, and inside this variable, we are going to call it underscore ranking. So we are going to store inside it using the rank X function here. So the rank X function, what is it that is looking for? It's looking for a table, but that table shouldn't have a filter. So we're going to remove the filter from it. So to get that filter removed, what we're going to use is the all function. The all function is looking for either a table or is looking for a column. So now we give it a column. The column now is going to be our boss number here, this one here, which is the dimension we have just used. Then we close it. When we hit our comma, it's asking for the expression. The expression is the number you're seeing on the table you have right now in your view, which is the total riders, right? So this is what we're going to get in. So I've shown you how to calculate this. It's very simple. Just go ahead and do that. So if I actually go ahead and do this now, okay, I have to close. No, we don't have to close it. So just comma. So the first comma, if you pay attention to the IntelliSense right here, it says value. We don't want to give it any values. To skip it now, you put in that comma right here, and that skips it for you. So we're trying to create from the highest one now. So we do descending instead of ascending. So once we have just done that, we're going to go ahead and have this closed. And this is what it is. So to see the behavior of this particular part of our code, we just do return. And the return will definitely return ranking right here for you. So if I hit my enter key, I can now push this in. Okay. It seems this measure seems to be existing before now. Okay. I'm going to close it. So why don't us just do top N instead? So I can hit my enter key now. So we can push our top N inside here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the top N is. It doesn't make any sense now. What I'm going to do is to actually go ahead and click over here, and we go over to sort and sort by top N. So when we sort by top N, is sorting by the highest value of our top, and the highest value return buses with the lowest number. So what if we change the sorting to something different? Now you look at it. 1 actually stands for buses with the highest numbers of passenger, 2 the second highest, 3 the third highest, and 4th highest is number 4. This is exactly what we want. So with this right now, there is no need for we to keep the total riders. I can just go over here and remove this. I'm left with the top N. So we are going to filter that particular top N. So how do we filter the top N? So instead of me to return this now, so what I'll do, I'm going to drop this down. So over here, I'm going to say if. So this ranking over here is actually less than or equals to 5. That is the numbers you want to return. Then go ahead and return for me our total passengers. Those are what I want to return, not the numbers any longer. So once I've done that, I can go ahead and close, then hit my enter key. That will definitely give me the top 5. So let us go ahead and take a look at it. Now, this is what I have for the top 5 over here. So the top 5 is cool. I've gotten this top 5. I'm going to put it over here and copy and paste this one, move it right here, right now. Let's go to the top N measure and just do Ctrl A, Ctrl C to copy. And now we create a new measure. So over here, what we're going to do, we paste in our new measure. Just go ahead and paste it over here. So instead of us to actually use top to identify this differently, I'm going to use bottom N. So for my bottom N, all I need to change is just this particular part. So I'm going to change this from descending to ascending. So I'm going to hit my enter key, and that will definitely give me what I want actually. So I'm going to move away my top now and put my bottom right here. So if you look at it, we have 2 different measures. Two different measures with different values and different buses right in here. This is what it is that we want. So how do we switch from one top to the other? So what we can do right now is to actually come over to the modeling area, then go to new and go to field. So we're going to create a field parameter for that. So to do that now, I will just type here dynamic top N. All right. So for my dynamic top N now, go to this particular add here where we can reorder our fields. So open the calculation, and we're going to go for the top and the bottom. So this is the bottom N. I'll put it in, and I'll go ahead and look for my top N. This is my top N here. So if you want to rename this, you can decide to remove the N you have inside here. And for this one, double click to actually activate the edit mode and remove the N you have on that. So once we have done this, we're going to click over create. Do not deselect the art slicer. Just go to create. So with this, we actually have this. It does nothing now. It doesn't really do any thing, no action yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this into something different. So I'll go over to the bottom here. So let me show you what we have done. If I go to dynamic top N, so here we go. We have dynamic top N clicked on. So our dynamic top end here, I can have it open and click, and this is the DAX code behind it. So we're going to be using this particular dynamic top end order, which is 0 and 1 later after all. But for now, let's focus on how to grab our dynamic top end from here. So open up this one and push this one in. So I'm going to remove one of the measure, which is the bottom end here. We have it removed. So this time around, things are not looking very fresh and cool. So if I select just the bottom, that filtered just the bottom for me. So let's do it again. Oh, why are you doing this edit mode of a thing? Sorry for that. So if I just do this, the bottom is filtered. If I select the top is filtered. So what if we convert this to a table, a chart instead of a table? So nothing shows up. We seems to actually created something very weird. How do we actually go ahead and fix this? It's very simple. Just go ahead and actually click on your chart and go over to this particular add or data. And we need to actually create some switch. So the dynamic top end is actually on the legend area. So we're going to move it away from the legend to the y-axis right here. And that actually gives us what we actually want. So right now we can switch and you see the effect of what we have just done right here. This is beautiful, huh? So quickly, you can just do some basic formatting by going into the chart itself and take off the axis that shouldn't be there. Very important. So take off the title and bold this. And what about the y-axis? So we want to turn it off totally. We don't want to keep anything. Even the title should be gone as well. And this is what it is. It gives a clean, chart. And the title here shouldn't be kept. We have to have it removed. This is what it is. So what about the data label? Very important. We're going to put the data label right on it. So now we have gotten this created. So I'm going to move this above here and have it here to make it look some kind of real. So just adjust it. So now we have to create a dynamic title for this. And how do we actually go ahead and do that? So very simple. We call it caption. Now I'm going to call this caption equals. So what I would do here, I'm going to use the if. So do you remember that column I told you we're going to be using? Yes, definitely. We're going to use that column. But right now, I'm not really sure which one is actually my top and my end. Is it 0 or 1? So for that, I can actually step off from this. So remove it and let's go to the calculated column to take a look at what it is. So dynamic top end is here. So if you look at it, my bottom is actually identified by 0 and my top is we use 1 to identify the top. That is beautiful, right? So now that we have known what it is, let's go ahead and create a fresh measure for that. Okay, here is our caption. So we're going to be using if, and the if is going to check what is selected. Selected value here. So if the selected value for dynamic, so the dynamic is actually going to be this. We have different dynamic for field, for order, and for top end. So what we're going to use is the order. The order has 1 and 0. So the order here, so we actually close it. So if it is equals to 0, then what are we going to do? Shift, enter. So we are going to say, if this is equals to 0, we want to actually say, okay, underperforming boss is selected. Selected. Otherwise, so we're going to say top performing. selected. So you can decide to put the numbers or whatsoever. If you want to leave it this way, is all your choice. So once we are done, we just go ahead and close our if and hit our enter. We have just created our dynamic caption for this. Whenever we actually switch, we have exactly the caption shows what it is that we have selected. So it is time for me to actually go ahead and drop this in. So huge. Click over here and turn off the label. We don't want to keep it. So click over here and let's do 20. So now take a look at it. We have bottom selected and it's giving us underperforming buses selected. When we select top, what is going to happen? So top will definitely give us performing one. Now nothing has been selected. This is what we have. Let's select something here. So top performing bus is selected. This is what it's going to be like. So if we go back, so for the design aspect, we're leaving it for later. We have just achieved this particular part right now. So the other part I want us to achieve right now is to look at how we just got this particular part created. If I talk about part, I'm talking about this very one right here, which is the occupation. So let us look at what is actually going on here. So under here, we're looking at the occupation, peak hours. So inside the occupation, we have lots of occupation in that column. So let me show you first. So going to this part here, so we have this demographic of our, should I call them customers or clients, whatever. So now here we have this occupation column. Inside this occupation column, we have other, we have professional, retired, self-employed, student, and unemployed. So we want to see the peak hour for those people that are within this particular, groups. So now we do not have the time stored here. We have our time stored in the fact table here. This is the time. This is the numbers of people at this particular time, 5 p.m., 9:41 p.m., 40 people. 3:57 p.m. Is 40 people as well. So that is exactly what it is. We are going to use those two columns to decide which of these would actually fall within this date we have right here. Can you see? For order, we have 8:57, retired, student, unemployed, self-employed, and professional. We have their time extracted. So we have to write the DAX for that. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, let us review the columns that are going to be involved in these next calculations. So going over here, I told us that the fact table here for ridership has a column called numbers of riders. Those are the numbers of passengers based on the time recorded right here. So now we want to extract the time, the highest time for a particular professional from this particular table called demographics here. So now we have occupation. So if I open it up right now, you can see the different occupation we have. So we want to use that. And actually from this table, we extract the time that has the highest, or that we have more people going out based on a particular occupation. You get that now? Okay, let's begin. The very first thing I want to do is to create a physical table that you and I can see what is going on that table before we further use that table inside a measure environment. Let's get it. So new table. So I call this peak hours. So maybe you want to identify what it's for. So it's for occupation. So we close it. So equals. So what I'm going to do now is to create a variable here. So this variable should be named our professional. So peak hour. You understand? So I can use underscore. So this P and H means peak hour, professional peak hour. So inside here, what we're going to do is to actually create what I called temporary table. So the temporary table should be summarized right? So using the summarize function. So inside this particular summarize function, what we're going to do is to like, okay, we need a table. If you pay attention to the IntelliSense right here, it says we need a table to actually summarize this. So that table should be our fact table right here. So inside the fact table, we want to actually bring in a particular columns for the group by, and that would be this time. You understand? Time. So we want to actually summarize for a particular profession, not for all the professions that we actually have. How do we go about that now? So to go about that very well, so we need to actually create a temporary measure here outside the measure we have sitting inside our calculation table. So what I'll do, I'll call this one total passengers. So for my total passengers here, I will do comma, is asking for the expression. So for the expression, remember, we have to filter only for passengers. That has to do with professionals, right? So we're going to use the calculate function to change the filter context here. So using the calculate function, what we are going to do is to actually call the total passengers we have here. So this is actually a measure we have already. In case you don't know how the measure is being calculated, I can actually calculate it in a simple way. Using the sum function here, we actually sum the numbers of riders that we have. That is what we have done. So because we have this measure already, we do not need to keep it. So we can get away this one and use the already created measure, which I've shown you previously before now. And putting comma is asking for filtering this particular measure we have here. So I'm going to say, okay, for that, I want to filter it based on occupation. So the occupation is coming from my demographic, and they both have relationship, which is there's a relationship between demographic and the fact table. So for that, I want to filter this only where it is equals to professional. Then that is it. So once we are done with this, we can close our calculate and further close our summarize. So if this particular measure is correct, let us return it. So returning this now, we return underscore professional peak R. So if I hit my enter key, what we should be seeing now is actually two columns. So before we go on, the two columns we are seeing now is going to be this one here, this column. So what does this column do? This column here stores the total passenger we have for professional here. Then we now have another one. That is this particular column here. This column, time. So let us go ahead and review what we have. So now, basically, if we take a look at it, we have time and we have passengers. I would love to sort. Oh, now it's giving us blank. So if we are having blank, there is error somewhere. Let's go ahead and fix that error. So the error should be coming from our professional. Oh, there is no A over here. That is where the mistake is coming from. So there is no A. So what we can do, hit the enter key once you have that corrected, and let's go ahead and take a look at what it will be like now. So we still have some blanks, and I'm going to tell you why we are having those blanks. So now you can see I'll do descending. Now we have this. So you can see 11:41 is the highest time we have more passengers. If I scroll down now, so the reason why we have those particular part to be blank was because we only filter for the professionals. So what about the student? What about the retired? What about the unemployed and the self-employed? So they are actually going to be in this particular blank area right here. So we have filtered them away. So this is what we're going to be using for our next measure. So we're going to write a measure for this. So what I'm going to do now is to actually Control A to copy this whole table from here. And now we go for what? We go for a measure. Let's go to the report view. So right click here and create a new measure. So let us go ahead and paste in what we have copied. So do you think if I hit enter key, this is going to work? No. Let's try that and see what it is that we're going to have as an error. So the error we have right now says the expression refers to multiple columns. Multiple columns cannot be converted to a scalar value. And that is true. So we have to convert this to a scalar value before we can return this. Now we have it here. The very first thing we have to do now is to actually remove the return part here. We don't have to return anything now. So we have to remove the return aspect. So it's gone. So I would love to indent this. Just highlight. Once you highlight, your tab key would move this to your desired place. So once that is done, so it is time for we to actually create something very meaningful. So I'm going to actually create a new variable here. This variable should be called top. Top what? Top professionals. So professional, so equals here. So what I'm going to do is to use the top n function. So the top n function is looking for value. The n value should be 1. We want to extract the top one. And this top one should be extracted. So what are we going to use to actually have this done? That is our first variable. So now we use this particular professional. So we got it wrong. It should be professional, not profession. Oh, is it profession? I think, sorry for that. So we just have to correct this here as well. Okay, now that is our table. So this table should be filtered. So when we filter this table, now it's going to ask us, what is the value? This table contains, let us understand something. This part of the table, from here down to here, contains time. Then from here down to here contains values or numbers. So we're going to use number to filter this. So what we do next now is to put a comma, and it's going to ask us to order by expression. So what we do over here, we are going to give it our total, and it's going to be total passengers. So remember, the total passengers is actually coming from here. You get it now? That is what we have used right here. I told you we have number, and here under the summarize, we have time. So what we want to do is to extract the first or the time with the highest value. So if I put my comma right now, it's asking me, like, how do you want to actually sort this? I want to return the highest one. Then we use descending, and that is all. Close. So this is not enough. If we try to return this now, we will still encounter another error. So what we have to do is to actually try to return just a single one. So we create another variable, which is the last variable in this set of our first calculation. So this one now we're going to call it underscore. We call it by its name so that we can remember it when we want to reference it after all. So we do professional. Is it professional or professional? I don't know. So let us just use this. I think this actually goes. So equals. So over here, I'm going to use the max x. So for the max x here, what is the max x doing? The max x wants to return the top, just one single one for us. So, and we're going to use, over here is asking for a table. The table we want to use right now is the last variable we have created, which is this particular one. So definitely let us use underscore. It will be very easy to actually bring it in. So if I do underscore here, so this underscore will be for professional, top professional rather. So for the top professional right now, what we're going to do is for we to filter it. So we are filtering that particular top professional by the what? Time. So the one with the highest time. All we want to retrieve is actually time. So we have done the justification. The next thing is to actually return this, and we return the professional right here. If I hit my enter, we should be expecting one single scalar value. So let's bring it into a card. So I'm going to go ahead and get this particular normal card here. This card is what you should use. And where is that pick R? So if you look at it now, we have returned date and time. This is awkward. Date and time. So what do we do? To convert it now, click over here and come over to format. Then go over to where we have the short or the long format, anyone. So I'm going to use the long time. So this time around, we should have just time, not date and time. So we have just time, 11:41. So this is what it is. Is this the final approach? I guess no. So if you look at what we have achieved here, we have achieved lots of things here. So we have order, retire, student, unemployed, self-employed, and professional. And under the professional here, we have 11:41 a.m., which is what we have just retrieved. So how do we return for orders in the same measure without making it complicated or complex? So let's do it. I think all we have to do is to actually go back and recycle through this same measure we have here. So to get it done and to create something very simple and easy, what we have to do is to comment the first one, to add comment to the first one. On this one, I'm going to say this is the peak hour for professional, whatever. Okay. Now we have this. We don't have to return yet. So I'm going to remove the return part of it right here. So we'll delete it. So it is time for we to copy from the comment area here. We copy. Let me move my comment this way. Then it will actually justify. So the copied one should be pasted over here. Don't worry about the error we have. That was because we have removed those this return part of it. So if I scroll up now, we have two variables here, two different variables, professional and the other one still professional with the same comment. So what we're going to do now is to actually identify this as a different one. So removing this professional here would make this one student. Okay. If we have this one as a student, we have to start changing things around. So this variable we have on this particular part we have copied and pasted right now cannot work. So inside one single measure, we can't use the variable name one variable name multiple times. So we have to start changing things around. So the first thing you're going to do is to come over to this particular total passenger here. It's fine. I can put just one inside here to differentiate it from the previous one. Otherwise, we're going to have error. So where it has been used is this part here. I will put under one here to identify that we have changed it from here, and that would work. So this particular part where we have professional should be changed to student. Then if you identify where we have it again, you can change this particular part as well to student. So student. Then if we look at this particular part here, is actually not part of this. So now let us look at this. This variable has been changed. Then this particular professional here is a key. That is what we are even calculating for. So we change this one to student. So if it has S, please identify it. Otherwise, it will not work. So once we have done that, we can look at this particular place. This is top professionals. So we are going to change this one to top students. Not student. Not students, students. Okay. So we have to change this particular one as well. Instead of using professional here, we're going to use student. So over here where we have this particular professional, remember it's referring to this particular variable coming from here. So we have to change this particular variable to a different variable, which is going to be student, top student. Now that is exactly what we need to do. So we have just done justification to this. And this one now, we don't need to return anything. So what we have to do next is to actually go to the next one. If we have done for student, let's do for unemployment. So shift enter. Remember, we still have something copied. So we have pasted this one right here. If we go up now, this is the previous professional we have pasted here. So now this is one now is going to be for unemployed. So which means anything that has to do with professional should be changed to unemployed. So make sure it's correct. Unemployed. So we come over here and do 3. I think that one was 1. Then we do 2 here. We go down to where we have it. We put 2 over here. Remember, all this is very important. So this one is important. So we change it to unemployed. So we have changed the name of the measure here. So this particular one is actually top unemployed. So we use top unemployed. So this one now is not more this here. So we're going to change it to unemployed here. So if you look at it now, we have done justification to it. This one here should be unemployed. So we're going to change this one from this particular top professional. Instead, we are going to use top unemployed here like this. So let's just look at it. We have actually changed all the measures and it works fine. The next thing again is for we to actually do shift and we paste a new one over here. So still having the professional. So this one now is actually going to be a different thing entirely. So what if we use self-employed here? Self underscore, I think it had an underscore. Okay, let us just do self underscore unemployed. So the vital part of it is this particular one here should be actually accurately changed because this is what impacts what we see. So here is going to be self, so a dash unemployed. So accurately do it that way. So now we are going to change this particular part here. So the only part I'm going to change is this particular one where it says professional. I'm going to use self unemployed. So this is going to be 3 here. Change it to 3. On self unemployed employed. So this one here has changed. So we're going to change it to what? To self-unemployed. Instead of doing this, we do self. So here is it. Self-unemployed. So if we scroll down now, this particular one is actually going to be unemployed. So while this one changed to the top, so top self-unemployed. So why we have an error here, that was because we've not changed this one to 3. You see that? It's very important. So we have done this now. We need to go ahead and paste under one again. Very important. We paste this one here and we scroll up again to change what it is that we have right here for the first time. So why don't we create for order? Then for order is very important. We come and change this first. That is the root. Then once we have done that, we just change this one to order. So order here. So this one should be 4. We are putting number on this to differentiate it from the other one. Otherwise, we're going to have error. So we have order. So this particular top professional here should be converted to order. Then we come back to this particular one. This one has changed to order. So we have to change it to order. Then we go down. This one now is now order. Then once we actually get here, this has changed. So we're going to change this one to order. And that order should be top order here. I think you get it. So now this one is using 4. So we have 4 over here. That is correct. So we have just done justification to this as well. So we scroll down. So we paste under one right here. So we're going to be doing for retired. So here we go, remove this. We do for retired. So to make it easy, you can just copy this one from here. And once we come over here, what we're going to do is to paste this one over here and go over to here and change this particular part here alone, this part alone to retired. So change it to retired and we number this one to be number 5. And this particular part here should be changed to retired. Then this one should be changed to retired. And where do we have issue again? We're going to have issue with this one. That is number 5. That is it. Then we change this one to retired as well. Then what about this one here? This one now is top retired now. So top retired. So that is all we need to do. I think right now we have done justification to everything we actually need. So it is time for we to start to return all of this. So what do we do? So we are creating a different, I think that should be a return. So we are going to return all of this under the return part here. So under the return part, what we'll do is like, okay, we want to return all our variables now. We have different variables. First of all, let's start from order. If I go ahead and return underscore order, and what I'll do now is to actually make sure I actually have a space between them. And once I have done this, the next thing I'm going to do is to return for a different one, underscore, let us do for retired. So retired is just a retire. We don't need to have anything after it. So we do the same thing again, concatenate this. So we do for something else again. Let's do for student here. So let us now do for unemployed. So we're going to do for self-employed. No, not this one. Okay. This self-employed here should have a variable. I think there is no variable for self-employed now. So we have unemployed. We should have for self-employed. So it seems we've made a mistake somewhere. Let's go back up a bit. So we have self-employed here. Self-employed. So we are still using unemployed. So it has to be self here. Self-employed. So when we go back down, should be able to see self-employed by this time. So now we have self-employed here. So with our self-employed now, we can do the same thing. So we go ahead and do for professional. That is the final one right here. So what happens if we have all of those here returned? What are we going to see? Would it make any sense to us? I guess no. Let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and I think it is well formatted, but it doesn't make any damn sense. What do we do to have it the way the other ones is? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click back on it again and scroll all the way down. Then what we're going to do now is to come to the back here. And we're going to type here inside double quotes. So the name of our variable is order. So I'm going to say order peak hour. So you get it now. So we concatenate it with this one, right? So what if I just copy this particular part to make it easy for us? So we paste for this, we paste for this, we paste for this, and finally we paste for this. So instead of us using order here, we're going to use the variable name, which is going to be retired. This one will be student. This one will be unemployed. This one would be self-employed. So self-employed should be, okay, what if I use capital letter for all of them? So I can just do self-employed. Then this one will now be professional. So remember, this one has to be changed to unemployed. So let's change this one to student. So let's change this one to retired. Let's change this one to orders. Okay, order, not orders. So would this make any sense? Let's find out if this would. A bit better, but this is too worldly. I don't like it. It doesn't make any damn sense right now. So what are we going to do to make this look much more better? So let us just expand it to see, no matter how we go about it, it's looking too crazy. Okay, go back to your DAX and scroll all the way down. So right now what we need to do is to actually add something different. So we call that, is it unicar or unichar, whatever. So what I'm going to do now for the first one, which is order, I want to use this particular, I'll actually remove this part here, including this one. Though instead, it's not giving us the space we want and breaking of this to make sure every one of the occupations stay in its own line. So what we're going to do next is for we to use this particular where is that? I think it's this particular unichar here. Unique character, I don't know what it is. So it's asking for a number. I'm going to give it number 10. You get it now. So I'll close it. So if I do this and I replicate the same thing for every part of it. So what I'll do now is for me to concatenate this again. So you can see it has been done. So I'll copy this and I'll actually remove all of this, remove all of this, remove all of this here, and finally remove all of this. Okay, let's find out if this is going to work. This should work, but if it doesn't work, we have another way to get it done. This seems to work a little bit, but what about the spacing? Too close, that right? So let's see what we can do about that. So can you see it now? It's becoming what we really want. So what we're going to do now is to go back and we scroll down. So over here, so we have made this one to be 10. So we're going to add a new one now here. So this one, the number should be 160. That is, we're creating double space, right? Then we close and we do under ampersand again. So we create another one. This particular one should be 10. Then we close and we do this. So finally, what we're going to do now is to actually copy fresh one from here and replace the previous ones. From here, we remove, give a space and paste it. Then we remove this particular one, take it off, give a space and paste it. So we remove this very one, give a space and paste it in. Then finally, we remove this one here, give a space and have it pasted. Our problem should be solved by now. So let's go back and click on this. Now we have double spaces and that makes it looking very, very good. So now, can we find a function that will help us to bounce it and align it to the left? Because right now it's looking a bit ugly than we really expect. I guess no, we don't have to do that. So what do we do in essence? Let's see something here. It seems we still have, we have something. Okay. Let's see. Let's hold on. Let me just go over here. And now I'm going to remove this category over here. I want to take it to 20. Okay. Everything looks fine. But what I'm talking about now is that we want to align it starting from the left-hand corner. How do we do that? So instead of you to use a card to do this, why don't you use a simple table like this? Do you see that now? Beautiful. This is what we can actually use to have this done. So we can move it and have it somewhere around here. So this actually gives us what exactly we want to see. So what about this? So if we go back and check what we have done previously, it will definitely give us exactly what we want. Okay, now here we go. We have just created something that looks like just what we have here right now. But there is something we did not add. That is this particular check mark we have right on here. This, and this. How do we get this into it? Let's go ahead and add it. So all we have to do is to update our code just one more time. Okay, we go to where we have the DAX in. Here we go. So we scroll all the way down. So over here, I'm going to give a space. Do I need a space? No, I don't need a space. So I'll actually hit my Windows icon on my keyboard. You see that Windows icon? So once you hold it down, then your full stop key would help you to bring you this. And the first thing it highlights for us is this particular one right here. I'm going to go ahead and click it. And that adds this particular one here for us. So once we've gotten it, we can just copy. So first of all, put a space on it. So go ahead and copy this. So once you have copied it, just come here and have it pasted and paste it. Paste it here. It's going to be pasted with the space we have on it. Paste this one and finally paste this particular one right here. So you can use different things. You can use something like circle. Let's do a different one here. What if I go ahead and have this removed? So now the window, so we can go ahead and click on this particular one. I think this one here. So once we scroll down now, scroll down, what about we using something like this? So there's different ones you can use. Once you keep going, you have rounded one that you can use. What about this circle here? So we're going to verify which one is going to be best for us. So I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to put it over here. So we test different one out to see which one is best fit for our project. So anyone we feel like using, we can just pick it and There we go. So this is what it is. So do you want to have the check, this mini circle? I don't like that, but I love this particular, is it square? Something square like this. If you want to use this one, so be it. It's all your choice. So which one do you want to go for? So pick one from it and adopt to use the one you have actually, chose to use. So scrolling down now will make us to actually accept one. So I'm going to copy this one. Let's go with this one. Paste it here. Paste it here. So paste this one here. Paste this one here. So I'm going to leave the first one to check so that we just have something to play around with. So if I hit my enter key right now, we should just have what it is that we want. So what about something like this? One check mark and the remaining one are formatted separately or differently from what it is that we have done in the original version of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what it is you can do to have something like this created. Let's go into the next one. All right, let us look at what is actually next. If you look at this particular chart right here, this is not actually a default chart inside Power BI. So we are going to take a look at how we can actually create something like this that actually shows the percentage of the male gender, the female gender, and others which their gender are not actually specified. I'm talking about our passengers, right? Or the riders. So how do we get this created? Let's just go into it straight away. So over here, the very first thing we have to do is to go ahead and create a new measure just for that. So we have the new measure here. I'm going to actually call this one, let us call this one male chart. So for the male chart here, I will create a variable. So this variable, I will call it underscore male. So what I'll store inside this is just 0.2, which is 20%. Maybe you might be thinking, what the heck are you doing? Why are you doing this? Whatever. So I would love to actually, oh, sorry, I mistakenly hit the enter key. I would love to return this to show what the result we have here looks like. So this is return. I will return underscore male. That looks just the results. We want to see the result here. So this is just 20% in decimal point here. So let's keep that for now. Okay, what is the next step to take? So we don't want to return yet. The next step to take right now is going to be this. We're going to create a variable. So this variable here, we're going to call it underscore number. Here is number underscore of underscore again icon, just to make it more realistic. So we put equals and we store 10. So which means we want to store 10 different icons in this particular variable. But just wait a minute, this is not all. So when we go down now, we create another variable. So this variable will be underscore. So this one will be number underscore of underscore again, field or field, let's say fill icon, fill icon. So number of field icon now, I will set to maybe just 5. So we'll set it to 5. Okay. When we further go down, we create a new variable. So this variable would utilize the same underscore again. This is number of icon empty. Number of icon. So that is actually empty. So we put our equals again. I can just store 2 here. Store a number. We're going to make this dynamic after all, but for now, this is what we do. So now those are the group of variables we have. So we're going to have other groups of variable. So over here, I create a new variable here. This one will be called underscore field icons. So what icon do we want to fill? We can use different icons, just like what we have done previously. In the previous one we've created, there are so many icons we can use using the Windows key on our keyboard. Hold the Windows key down and your full stop here. That gives you this over here. So quickly we click on this particular one and we make sure you click on this arrow pointing to the left and right here. Then you scroll all the way down to actually get different types of icons from here. So I want to go for this particular one. That is for fill. And this one is for empty. So I have gotten two of these icons here. So what I'm going to do now is for me to cut this away from here. So this one now should be stored inside double quotes. This is what it is. So over here, we create another variable. We put underscore here again. So this one will be empty icons. So equals inside here, the one we have cut, or still, if you want to create it from the scratch, your Windows, hit the enter key, just come over here and we scroll down and we fetch this particular one that looks like this. So this is what it is that we want. So we go ahead and actually have this closed. So this is cool. So what if we go down now and now create our bars? So we create a variable. So this variable here, put underscore here. So we call it bars. So equals. So we're going to repeat those particular icons we have brought in. So we have to repeat them multiple times, specifically 10 good times. So one representing 10%, 10% for one, 10% for another one, and all of that. So you can do 20 icons, depends on how many icons you want to do. So if that has to change, it will be on this particular part right here. So let's get it. So right now over here on the bars, what we'll do now is just to use the repeat function. So this repeat function here. So when we use this repeat function, inside the repeat function is looking for a text. So the field icon is what we have to feed into here, underscore field icons. So comma for the numbers of time. So it's going to be number of fill icon. So let's just go ahead and look at number of fill icon here. So number of fill, you look at it here, this number of fill icon. So now 5 times. So we do underscore number of fill icon over there. So once we have done that, we can go ahead and close it, and we do concatenate using this ampersand here. So we step down and we use this repeat again here. So inside this repeat, what we're going to do now is for we to say underscore empty. Here is empty icon. So now, how many times do we want to repeat this? So we repeat this by number of the empty icon. So if we go over here, we have this one, which is this very one over here. So we have to get this one here. So number of what? Of repeat empty icon. So now this is what it is. We can go ahead and have this close. So for the time being, let's go ahead and actually return our bar. So I want to go down. So return underscore bars here. So if I hit my enter, let's see what it is we are going to have right now. So let's go and take a look at it. So this gives us this one here. So clicking on this, let us explain what is happening over here. It's very important. Okay, if you look at what we have over here, so we have repeated it on multiple times right here, which is not accurate yet, but this actually helps us to set some standard on what we want to return. And number of empty is this particular one here, which is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let us look at it. So if we go further on this, we're talking about this should be 5, this should be 2. And if we start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then for the 2 part here, this one here. So it's empty, 1, 2. That is what we have done under the repeat particular part here to be particular. That is what we have done. But this is not what we want. We want to make this very much dynamic. And what we want to create is to create a percentage for the male gender. And to do that now, where we have this particular 0.2 in, which is 20%, has to be dynamic. Okay, to do that now, what we have to do is inside our demographic, we have a column right there. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So I will return this back so that we can be on the same page. So we'll return this back. So if we go back, then we go towards, go to demographic here. So we have a column that has to do with gender. So this column specifies the gender of our passengers. This is what we're going to use. So we want to see the percentage of the male, the female, and the order, right? So going back right to this particular part right here now, we can click on this chart and actually create that particular percentage right here instead of us hand coding just static percentage. So taking it off, what we do now is actually using the divide function here. So inside the divide function, we want to filter only where we have the male gender, and that will actually use calculate as a function. So using the calculate function now, inside the calculate function, we want to actually change the context of our total passengers right here and only keep where we have just the male gender. So if I put in here gender now, so that should give me this particular column. So I'll filter only where it is actually male. So that is all we have to do. So we're dividing it by the total numbers of what? Of passengers that we have. So once we have done that, we can go ahead and close. So this wouldn't change anything now. Even if we hit enter, we are still going to have the same thing we have previously. So right here on this particular part, if you look at it, we have 5 as what we have hand-coded over here. So in this particular 5, we want to actually replace it with what? Replace it with the gender, which is actually our male. So underscore male right here. So we multiply this particular male by the numbers of icons. So we do multiply by what? By underscore numbers of icon over here. You get it now? So it is time for me to talk about this particular number of empty. How many empty do we have once we have gotten that particular field icon? So how many empty are we going to have? So the empty now would be underscore number of icons, right? Number of icons here. So we subtract it from number of field. Here we go. So let us quickly explain this particular part. It's very important. So if you look at what we have done here, so this one is static. This one is static. So we want to actually have this icon into 10 places. Now, when we have that into 10 places, what determines how much of or how many of those icons are filled like this? I mean, how many of the icons are going to be empty like this is what we have done right here. So we multiply the percentage we have gotten from this to the numbers here. So if the percentage is something from 1 to 10, so it's going to actually fill one single icon. So if it goes to 11, 12, and whatever, so it's going to fill 2 icons. That is what it is. So that determines what we have as empty. So number of empty now is actually going to be number of icons, which is going to be this one here, number of icons here. We subtract it from the number of the field icon. That will give us the empty icon we're going to have. So let us take a look at this. If I hit my enter key right now, what are we supposed to have as the end result? So it has changed. So this is what it is that we have. So you might be interested to see exactly what is actually going on. Why do you say this is actually correct? So what if I go ahead and copy one part of my DAX over here? That is this particular part, this divide part here. So I'll copy it and I am going to create a new measure. So this new measure is going to be used to actually display what that particular part of the DAX is actually all about. So paste it right here. For now, we have just the measure, not the name. So I'm going to put the name here. So PCT mail, so equals here. So if I hit my enter key, this should actually give me the percentage of the mail gender. So I'm going to convert it to a percentage before I bring it into a card. So let us fetch this into a card. So this gives us 32.47%. So what did I say? I said to you that each of this particular square here has to do with 10%, 20%, 30%. So the remaining 2.47% is not up to 10, so it's not going to give us anything. So this is what exactly we are trying to display over here. But wait a minute, we're going to actually adjust something. Maybe let's see something here. Sorry, there is nothing to actually adjust. I think it's the same thing. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So accurately. So which means if we are to go by the percentage I'm talking about now, this is going to be 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50%, 50% here, 60, 70, 80, 90, and we have the 100% right here, which is very correct. So we have just gotten this created, and I've shown you the proof of what it is that the percentage is all about. So anything from 32 to 35%. So once it gets to 40% now, we are going to fill this particular place up. So that is what it is. Okay, we have just gotten this one for our male gender now, which is very simple and easy. So you can just do this. So as you can see here, it's not looking fine at all. When you try to make it smaller, it's actually looking a bit uglier than what we expected. So let's just change something right here. So what we're going to do now is to click over here, then click over here and take off the category. For now, I'm going to keep the category. So what about here? So let's do something like 20. Oh, that is too much. So we do 30. So 30 looks fine. So with 30 now, we can just adjust things just to look a little bit smaller. So what we can do now is to actually go back to our measure and click over here. So we just do recycle, copy this one, then create a new measure. So this time around we paste in. So we go back up. So we just change this one to female. So female. So the other thing we're going to change here is just this. That will change the percentage. That is all. So we hit the enter key. So we need to create for order. So where the gender is not in any way specified. So we create for that. So just go ahead and create a new measure. So we paste this one over here. So we just call this order. So we change the measure name to order instead of male, order like this. So we have just done everything rightly. So if I go ahead and actually duplicate my previous chart here, so we just do copy and paste. So we move this over here, paste on that one, and move this over here. So for now, we click over here, we make a change of this one to maybe the female. So here we go, female chart. Let's go over to this one. So we type order. This is the order chart. Okay, it's actually working. So you can see it's working. So let me show you what is actually going on right here. So when you filter, you start seeing the effect on this. So let us remove the filter from here. So the reason why we have something like this was because if we go ahead and actually copy something like this one here, let's copy it. And we go over to this particular place. We click on new. So I have this pasted here. So we change this one to female. Then we come over here. We change this particular one to female. So now when we drag it in, you're going to see that we have something related percentage, right? Let's do it. Oh, this one is giving us blank. What the heck have we done? Female. So that should correct it. So we format it to percentage as well. So now can you see we have 34.57 and this one is giving us 32.47. So now that is what we have. So immediately we actually filter. Now look at what we have. The female is now giving us 51.19%, while the male gender is giving us just 19.11%. So if I go over here now and take a look at what we have here, this is actually 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So the 1% is not up to 10. So this one will not get filled. This particular one here will not get filled yet until it's actually up to 10%. And over here, we just have under the other chart here, we have 30%, while this one contains just 20%. So 20% here is when it is above anything from 1 to 5 will not be counted. As soon as it's above 5, like 7, 8, 9, and 10, it would actually count. So now we have 19%. Our 19% is actually here, which is actually 10, and here we have 9, which is actually very much, interesting to look at. So this is how we have actually gotten this particular chart created. So coming back right here, this is what we have done. Is of no difference from this. Very interesting to look at. So the filter, work on it. Whatever you filtered would actually impact what you actually see over here on your report. So we just filtered our boss 27 right now, and it's going to actually take its effect on this particular chart and any other chart. Can you see it now? On boss 27, there is no passengers for orders, and this is what it is. So you can actually try to see how this goes.